Gentlemen, welcome to the MSUM Dragons Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
We are here to talk about the MSUM weight room, but as we were just discussing a little bit before we started, it's more than a game here at MSUM as we talk about in the podcast, and it's the people who are putting these pieces of equipment, these spaces to work. Travis, you've helped the Strength and Conditioning Center get started and get moving in the right direction. Phil is the guy who's leading the efforts now and into the future. So thank you both for giving us a little bit of perspective on this. And I'll just start with Travis. When you first got to MSUM and you were the strength and conditioning coach, I mean, obviously you've been at MSUM a long time before that, but when you got that role as strength and conditioning coach and started to create this program, what was the vision then? And because I know you moved some of the spaces around to do some different things. And so tell me kind of about the vision of the strength conditioning program then, and now kind of as you see it taking this next step, what it looks like to you.
That's a loaded question there, but when I first took over, it was the weight room. I think had all those old black racks in there, and they were set up. I think they were going east and west, and then north and south, and then majority of the room was all red machines. Like leg curl and neck machine and those types of things. And the way that I kind of was brought up and the way that I had learned was I didn't want to train that way. I didn't feel like that was the way that we needed to train athletes, or that I wanted to train athletes. I wanted to use, barbells and dumbbells and more free weight type stuff. Eventually we got a couple new platforms in there that we got from, I think it was Powerlift. But we also made a few platforms just, from scratch. We had some of the guys from over in the power plant that came over and helped us out build those. And then, every year we just tried to chip away at just getting enough equipment that we felt like we could train everybody.
Well, and then let's throw it even further back, because I know you talked to Rock Gullickson, alum who's in the strength and conditioning business at the professional level. And what did he say? What was the weight room like when he started?
Yeah, so he came back for a summer. That was kind of when he was coaching in the NFL. I think he was in the NFL for 17 years as a head strength coach. And he came back one day to kind of watch us train and talk to the football team. And so we showed him around the facilities and whatnot, but he went in that back room, which is now going to be Herc's office and his staff. But that was their weight room. It was in a little dungeon. I don't know how big that place is. I mean, it's not enough for maybe one or two squat racks, but I think he said there was a bench in there, and then it was that universal, pulley system thing that you'd probably see in an old hotel, and then maybe a couple of dumbbells. But they would bring people in, and I think he pretty much just trained majority of the football players that were willing to train. And to see it. Obviously I didn't see it then, but just to hear the stories from Rock into the space that we went into was, just the space alone was awesome. And then we just had to chip away at getting what we felt like was the proper equipment to train all of the teams.
And then you blew out the wall to the adjoining room when the intramural kind of transition happened over there. And then we got the cardio room, which allowed for some of the distance runners and things like that to utilize that space. And now, so you chipped away at it, and you were a big part of planning this next step with the facility and what it should look like and things like that. Before you handed it off to Herc, who's coming in next to clean this thing up. But what was your kind of vision for the future when you started this renovation idea?
Yeah, so we wanted to keep the space. We had multiple strength coaches from every level come through and just tell us how lucky we were with the the size of the room, how much space we had. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that I didn't want to take away. and just fill it with equipment. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we spent a lot of time training in the rack, or on the platform. So, whether it's squatting, benching, we're using a barbell or we're doing Olympic lifts. And I felt like that's kind of where a lot of our training would happen. Well, the hard part, and we had a great space, we had a great facility while I was there in the end of my career, but the scheduling was really hard because you have, I think it's, 16 teams or whatever, and you're trying to get everybody in at the times that they want. And so often, we would have early morning training sessions where, we'd start at, the earliest we ever started was at 5:30. So sometimes you'd go at 5:30, then you'd have a group roll in at 6, and then another group at 6:30, and then at 7. And you constantly did that up until, I think football in season for us, we did that up until 11 o'clock. So we're getting in there at 4:30 to set everything up. And then you're rolling through, making sure that we're on point and everyone's got what they need, because you want to be fair to all the teams, because they all deserve to be trained, and then you have the same thing, later in the afternoon, where you're staggering teams, and in the middle of the day is a little bit of a dead time. With classes and whatnot, you can squeeze a few teams in, but for the vision was to keep the space, but to get more workstations where we could put more, squat racks or platforms and whatnot, that we could make the scheduling a little bit easier on some of the teams. Now at the same time, the staff was still staying the same, and we wanted to make sure that we were coaching them. And so that's on Herc's plate now, so he's got to figure that out.
Herc, now that this vision is in motion, and for those of you who don't know, Coach Herc, he's been with us for a little while now, and you get to see the execution of this project, and hopefully very soon we'll be in there and putting in some sweat equity. But now that you're in this position and have been for a while, how excited are you to see this project moving, floors up? Mirrors were broken yesterday. Yep. And getting this new space to utilize for the work that you're going to put in.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. Obviously, Travis still had a lot to do with it. He showed me some of those plans of what his ideal situation would be to train the athletes, and I kind of, have my experiences of being in other weight rooms and how I've liked to train my athletes in different ways, but I kind of ran with what Travis had set up. I changed a little bit around, but for the most part, we kept it pretty similar. And, I'd be texting Travis of like, why'd you set it up this way? Why'd you set it up this way? Just because I was still new to that big of a room, I'm not used to it. So I wanted to know, like, he had the platforms set up on the one side of the room. Like, why'd you do that? Why didn't you put half on one side, half on the other side? And we kind of collaborated a little bit on that and picked his brain a little bit. And I wanted to run with what he had set up because of, obviously his time at MSUM and what he's done for us. And, obviously me too, because I was an athlete under Travis.
Say, what was your weight room experience like, Phil?
Like Travis had mentioned, right, when he got there was when I was an athlete. So I seen the different setup that it was initially, and it didn't flow very well. And as a strength coach, like, you want things to flow very well, setting things up, getting things ready for the athletes, making sure that you can see all the athletes going on, training at the same time. And yeah, it didn't work. So obviously Travis moved it around over the years, and I would come back time to time and check out the weight room, and it just every year, like he said, he'd chip away at it and it'd get a little bit better. But obviously now, like you just mentioned, the mirrors are coming down. I think I stare into the weight room like every 10 minutes. I walk over there making sure, where's the progress at right now? When's the flooring coming in? When's the equipment coming in? I'm excited, and the athletes should be excited too, because obviously they deserve this.
I'll field this question to both of you. Why is the weight room important to Dragon Athletics?
You want to hurt, or me? You go ahead.
Yeah, it's the room that every athlete steps into, and to me, it's where champions championships are built because, you know, when you're not in season, you're not practicing, you're trying to get yourself better. So you're building that team culture, you're working with your teammates, and it's the opportunity where everyone can get better.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And to piggyback off of that, obviously I'm biased as a former strength coach, but I do think that you can create a culture not only for each team, but for the entire athletic department, because you can, all of the athletes, you know, they compete at different things, right? And they all have strengths and weaknesses, and some people are on a court, some people are in a pool, on a mat, on the field, whatever. But they're all training, and it might not be the exact same, but they're doing more similar than they are different in the weight room. And it's the same thing. They're all doing early mornings, they're all doing evenings, they all have practices they have to be at, and they all need to be in the weight room, and they all need to be training at some capacity. And I think being with that strength staff and not just the head strength coach, but the strength staff, if they always are saying the same thing, every athlete's getting that same message. Where teams, the sport coaches are doing the same thing, but they all kind of have their unique identity or culture within their team. But I think in the weight room is where you can bring that athletic department, as far as all the athletes together, because there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, I can speak slightly to my experience, which was before Herc, a little after Trav, but before you were on as a strength coach, when I was on that basketball team, there wasn't a strength conditioning coach. And it was coaches and assistant coaches learning different workouts that would best work out each position or body, or for different things. And not all the coaches really jumped into that idea. And so this department has made an investment. It has made an intentional shift in saying, we value the weight room. And this is an area where we can make a difference in Dragon athletics. And we were off and running. We hired Travis. We started to move the spaces and grow spaces, trying to renovate the space, get Herc in here. And so now we have a very big difference, at least from when I was in there moving around with different groups, not really knowing who was where and everyone was kind of just doing their own thing. And now it is not that. It is a finely tuned machine. I was watching you guys, Phil was watching you work out the volleyball team in there the other day. And I know we're doing that while the practice is going on over here in the temporary kind of swing space. Football was in there that's normally their locker room for halftime and pregame. And now they're out in the field house and coming to change. How excited are you guys to continue to see, as ex-athletes, as ex-strength and current strength, and seeing what's happened over the last 10, 11 years? How excited are you to see the future of Dragon athletics with these investments and improvements in strength and conditioning?
It's going to be awesome. The space that we're going to be able to use and the equipment that we're going to be able to use and benefit from with the student athletes, it's going to be like no other. And it's only going to improve the entire athletic department. We're going to get those recruits in here. They're going to see this Taj Mahal type weight room, and it's going to be like, oh, I want to come here. Cause look at this new facility, this new weight room. It's going to be extremely beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's, to see where it's going, from where it was, is it'll be wild to see what the finished product. And it definitely helps with recruiting, no doubt about that. When we were designing it, we talked to, like I said, multiple people at different levels, different strength coaches at different levels. And a lot of them were like, I don't know if there's a Division II school that's going to have a space like this, if this is exactly what you do. Mm-hmm. At the same point though, when I was doing recruiting talks, especially with the football team, we had the okay from administration to show, hey, this is in the plans, this is what we're going to do. It's all good, but at the same time, the work doesn't stop. You know what I mean? The secret's in the dirt, and it's you got to put the work in. Just because you have nice stuff doesn't mean you're going to develop. And so that's a little plug there to all the recruits coming. And, but it's, at the end of the day, you have the best of stuff to work with. And I think you're going to have a great strength staff. At the end of the day, that's where you're going to develop over your career, maybe not just in 1 year, but over your career over and over again. And there's not going to be a better place to do it.
And I know there's hundreds, if not thousands of athletes who have come through that weight room and they have their lives changed and improved and bettered and look at things differently and bonded obviously with each of you as someone who spends a lot of time with them. And so how we're trying to make it happen. We're not, it's happening. We're just trying to take it to the next level with the best gear, the best supplies that we can possibly put in this space, and continue to make the changes that you guys have made happen a reality. And if you, as our listeners, want to get involved in that, head to msumdragons.com/lift. There you'll see the donation page. Help us buy a dumbbell, a kettlebell, help us get a bar, a rack, help us get some of this stuff moving into the hands of this Dragon student athlete so that they can continue to elevate the entire department in a variety of different ways. Last question. What is your guys' plea to our listeners right now, or people watching us? What would you tell them or ask them in giving towards this project and making it all the best as it possibly could be?
I mean, it's going to help, like you just said, the future Dragons so much. Obviously, some people look at it as like, oh, I wish that would have been, our weight room when we were athletes. Well, life's not always fair. So, try to help out our future Dragons the best you can and let them develop. And hopefully we can, finish this donations off and get things. And, you can put your name on it now, buy that plate, buy that rack, buy that kettlebell, whatever you want to do, get your name on that weight room right now with that new equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Herc. Obviously, I want to see it. I wanted to see it happen when I was there. But it's you put your name on it. You know what I mean? And we talked about a lot. We talked about that a lot, especially with the football program. That was one of the things is, what do you want to own? What do you want to be a part of? Go put your name on it. And this is a perfect opportunity for you to do that, to help, the entire athletic department. It's not just the strength conditioning department. It's literally every single athlete. This is a way that you can help and help them develop, help them to have the best things and grow the program.
Yeah, it's just those things that you wish you had, you can make a reality for somebody else. And that's a special thing. And to see it get touched by every single athlete. It's the one room. Not everybody gets hurt and sees the athletic training room. Not everybody gets to play. There's not a facility on this campus that every student athlete uses like the weight room. So to make an impact for all of them for a long time, because these renovations are usually few and far between, now is the time to put your name on it. This is the campaign where you can make a difference, whether or not it's a donation or even just we have a social media campaign going on for helping us just spread the word that we're doing this and we need help. So go to social media and we're asking you to lift anything, lift a box, a chair, whatever, lift something and post it to social media using the hashtag #LiftUpDragons or mention at MSUM Dragons. And $1 will be donated to the weight room campaign. So if you can't donate your money right now, if you're not in that place, help us spread the word, help us create some momentum. We're only going to have this campaign open for a couple more weeks. So now is the time to give. Now is the time to give your time if you can't give your treasure, and so that we can improve the talents of our Dragons. So thank you both for joining us on the podcast today and all your help pushing this campaign forward and making this thing a reality and changing fundamentally Dragon athletics for the better. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.